amazing to have sitting opposite me the man who thumped me and shot me and left me for dead on the station house floor as the cyborg in Time to Kill, Glenn Marks. Hello,
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Very good, thanks. Do you like our little homage to that classic scene?
I think it's brilliant, and I have one of those little figures of myself. Very proud, and I framed it and kept it in the original packaging.
Have you now? Wow.
Yeah, the kids love it. It hangs up in our snug with the TV and all their toys.
That would be worth a fortune, if you were to sign that, honestly. Is it the only toy of all the characters or parts you've played over the years that's been made of you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not bad, is it?
Yeah, it's the only bit I've got. I believe there are other bits of merchandise, but the only thing I could find was that toy. And now I look at it and it's great fun.
I mean, he's something of an iconic character. He's a bit of a fan favourite, the Cyborg from Time to Kill. Are you aware of that?
I think it's probably looking back on all the episodes, and I enjoyed watching them. I tried to look at them objectively.
Yeah.
And I think it was the most fun one.
Yeah.
That Cyborg.
But you were telling me a story before we started here about what Gerry said to you before you started shooting.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised. There were an awful lot of costume fittings and getting moulded into the suit. And Gerry came up and said, I want you to do me a favour. I want you to weigh yourself before we start filming and weigh yourself afterwards and just come and tell me if there's any weight difference. And I went to see him afterwards and I went, that was a very clever thing to ask me, because I only weigh 11 and I think I was 11 and a quarter stone. I've always been quite slight. And he said, what did you weigh it finished? I went, exactly 10 and a quarter stone. I lost a stone in 2.5 weeks. And the poor prop guys on the set, wherever I walked, because it wasn't just the prosthetics as we wore, but it was the whole chest piece.
Yeah.
And wherever I walked on the set, I'd look down, and honestly, I hadn't done anything naughty, but there was just a pile of water, and it was just sweat just pouring off me. And when you all had an hour's lunch break, my whole lunch break was going back to the dressing room, taking everything off, having a shower, grabbing a quick sandwich I'd brought in the morning because I just didn't have time to walk across Pinewood to go and get anything to eat, putting it all back on again and getting back down. And lunch break seemed to take 5 minutes, but that was a whole hour.
Extraordinary.
And I had to do it every day.
And these were the days, of course, when those studio lights were hot. It's not the same anymore with the sort of LEDs and whatever they use now.
It was boiling in that suit. It was boiling.
God,
but one of the hardest bits was my limited vision, but also once the head was screwed on, it had 3 or 5 bolts that put the head in place. I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
So then it was Alan, who was the special effects guy. He rigged me up with a sound department, a microphone, and said, right, we can talk to you now. So, okay, this one's coming from behind, and that had a very low, but it was, then I could hear Marcia saying, roll cameras, action, rather than everyone having to shout at me.
Yes.
And it made my life so much easier when you're, I don't think really it comes across, but when you're on set and you can hardly see, and from the mast with the servos going above your eyes whatever, and not being able to hear, it makes it so difficult. But once I could hear and they could talk to me in that head, then it made life a lot easier.
Yeah, extraordinary. We'll be taking a closer look at that classic scene in the warehouse. I mean, do you remember that shoot went on for days, didn't it, in that warehouse?
I do, I remember it.
We'll be taking a look at that a bit later on, and also talking about your wider career as well, because, of course, it's been 30 years since Space Precinct. I mean, obviously, you and we were very young, weren't we? Back in 30 years ago.
I'd only just become a stunt coordinator when I got that gig. And it was a brilliant one to learn on because CGI was still in its infancy.
Yeah.
And then to have directors like we had, to have John Glenn in there, involved in 5 Bond films, either editing or directing them.
Amazing.
And it was John who set me on the right course for stunt coordinating. And he sat me down and said, what I need as a director from you as a stunt coordinator is, and he went through a whole long list, and that's applied to my whole career. And if it wasn't for John, I think I probably would have got there, but certainly not as quickly as because I had John Glenn there telling me what he was after. Now,
can you define then what's the difference between a stunt man, as we might term it, and a stunt coordinator? So are they very different roles?
Very different, and we all start off as stunt performers.
Yeah.
Men, women, whatever we are today. But we call them performers. So you start off as a stunt performer. And it used to be in the old days, but it used to be 3 grades to become a coordinator. Now I think there's 5. And it's hugely different. So the phone will ring, or I'll get an email, or today mainly it's on WhatsApp. It's really strange people WhatsApp you, will you come and do this TV series or this film or something? The normal way it works, and I say normal because this year's been really, really different, and I'll explain why. But normally you get sent a script, I'll read the script, I'll break down what I think are the stunts on it. I'll ask what my budget is. Sometimes you're told, sometimes you're not.
Right.
Other times you're sent a script and they've already done the stunt breakdown and said, we want you in these days.
Yeah.
Other times production and I will put in what we think is right, and then it'll come back from generally the insurance companies, or it's from the underwriters, and they generally increase the amount of days because they'll see a risk on a day that
Sure thing.
they then need to cover. So there's one recently I did with, and the lead in it was an 8-year-old boy.
Mm-hmm.
Production sent me the days they thought, and I thought some of them were way over the top. One of them I thought, no, definitely I took that out, but I added in a few other days because I thought, no, you can't have an 8-year-old and it could potentially be at risk. The insurance came back and said, no, you're in an extra 14 days on top of the days that I thought the production was still querying from me.
Right.
And so basically, if you don't have a stunt, it doesn't have to be me, but a stunt coordinator there, we won't cover you.
Aha. Yeah.
So there's an awful lot of input into when you're on set and what you're doing. So the main thing is the prep time. And I like to sit with the director, producers, and go through it with them as to the style of the action they want, because you can't just go on and do whatever you want, because everything has consequences.
Absolutely.
It's not just time, but time leads to money, and then cost of building. And we did huge amounts of build on Space Precinct that put them to huge cost to build things so we could do the stunts. And that
and
comes
to do the stunts more effectively, safer.
Just to be able to do them, period. I mean, some of the sets don't allow you to do what they want to do, and sometimes the sets can be smaller or bigger. And what I loved about Space Precinct, sorry to keep going back to it, but
that's what you're here for.
Once a fortnight, I'd sit with the art director and I'd go into his office. We'd set a time when I wasn't on set. You guys probably didn't know this.
No, of course
was all
not.
going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And one of his assistants would bring in tea, and I'd normally bring a cake or cupcakes or biscuits or something.
What?
And we'd sit there for, depending how long the episode was and what the stunt requirement, would sit there and we'd go through all the sets that were being built, and we'd say, does this work for you? And I've thought, if we did this set, if we designed it this way or whatever. And I love doing that, because then you're right in their ground roots, right from the beginning, and so you can set the stunt up to work around the sets.
Yeah, which ultimately saves them time, saves them money, because you've prepared for it.
Yeah, but some of them were very expensive to build. But the production money's there to be spent on the screen. And I'll always ask, and they can always turn around and say, oh, no thanks, that's too much, or, whatever. But I really enjoyed that time.
Yeah. Amazing. Now, we're going to look across Gerry's career now and play a little game that we play with all of our guests. You may have noticed on the front here, we've got some little scorecards for previous guests, okay? Because we're going to play a game called Super Identification.
No. Okay.
We're going to play very, very quick snippets from each of the opening titles of every one of Gerry Anderson's series, okay? From 1957, I think, to 2006. And I want you to shout out the ones that you recognise, and we'll see how you do out of the 18 series that we've got. Are you ready for this, Glenn?
I'm ready, but don't expect a big score.
Let's go. Number 1. Black and white.
No idea.
I told you they'd be quick.
Yeah.
There'll be some that you recognise. Very early days still. I reckon once we hit colour, you might recognise a few.
Well, that's got to be Thunderbirds, that one. That was around my time.
That's
but
close.
We'll see. Oh, well, here we go.
That's
Thunderbird one.
That's good.
I love Thunderbirds. That's what I was brought up on as a kid. Captain Scarlet.
Good. Remember this guy?
I do, but don't remember the name.
Joe 90.
Joe 90.
I mean, there are so many of these. And now we're into live action series.
No idea on that one.
This is an emergency.
Getting into the 80s now. Here's one you'll know.
I know the music.
And almost at the end.
Well, I won't be on Mastermind as my chosen subject. I did terribly then.
Listen, you haven't done as badly as some. It is only a bit of fun, remember, okay? It's not really a competition. I mean, some people get them all. We've had some guests here who got all 18 of those.
I can believe it.
Some people have got none. You got 3.
Three
Three's
of
not
18.
bad, man. I mean, you're a busy man. You don't have time to sit down and watch TV. So I'm going to give you a score of 3 there on your very own Thunderbirds.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're happy about that, aren't you? So, as a kid, what were you watching? I mean, I know I asked you earlier, and we'll have a look in a moment at your first Anderson memory. But aside from Anderson shows, what did you grow up watching? Do you remember as a kid?
Well, Tom and Jerry was around those sort of cartoons, but TV wasn't on all day. TV would go off in the afternoon. So you had Blue Peter, loved Newsround.
Oh, yeah, you did. John Craven.
But we're never massively into TV, and I really don't watch much TV still.
Well, that's really
I know
interesting.
it probably sounds weird to people, but the hours that we work, you're just not at home to watch TV. So if we've got to be on set, and as a coordinator, it doesn't matter if the call time's 8, you really have to be in for 7.
Yeah.
You've got to travel to where it is.
Yeah.
You might finish 7, 8 o'clock at night. If you're not on the same show, you're then in the car driving from wherever you live to Manchester, Wales, Scotland, wherever, to do the next day. From there, you might be driving again. And I've got kids.
Yeah.
And I love to spend time with my kids. I know from my eldest, who left home some years ago and now is working, went through uni. The younger ones, I got very lucky, I'm blessed. I got twin boys that are 10. And they just demand your time.
Of course they do.
By the time I finished homework, schooling, whatever it is, read books, got them to sleep, I then have to sit down and do the paperwork side that nobody sees.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, you must watch this show. There's a series I'm doing at the moment, which I haven't signed an NDA, but apparently I'm not allowed to know the name of. Okay. But it's filming in Barry, and they're doing their last ever episode. So you might guess, I think it'll be out on Christmas Day. Yeah. But it's very strange because we're not allowed to know what it's called. No. But we know all the actors are working on it and things. Yeah. And they said to me, oh, you've seen all these episodes. So I said, no, I've never watched it. They were horrified, but I'm just not around to watch it.
I mean, that's really interesting. So I thought I'd be hearing a very different story from you, Glenn. I thought you'd be saying to me, oh, yeah, as a kid, I watched this movie or that TV show, and that's what inspired me to become a stuntman, a stunt coordinator, work behind, get in front of the camera. Did you have a light bulb moment as a kid, or did that come later?
No, I always wanted to be a chef.
A chef?
Yes, yeah. Loved cooking. And then from the age of 13, I worked in a chocolate factory.
You did not?
And I loved it.
Cool.
I was saving up to buy my first car. And at the time, family were living in North London. And I would be in the factory at 6 in the morning. So I used to get a very early tube in. And we would be making truffles and chocolates on a Saturday. And I went back on holidays. And I absolutely loved it. So there you go. So no, I didn't think from an early age I'd be in the film business. I knew nobody in the film business, knew nothing about it. I came from a complete outsider.
So how on earth did you end up?
Yeah, it seemed like a good idea at the time, I guess. I really enjoyed acting at school, and I went to drama school. I left, and I was very lucky. Immediately I was picked up by Compass, the company was called, which was a touring company doing Shakespeare.
I remember them, yeah.
And I loved it. And I finished that and absolutely nothing, but I still liked the business. And then I did some bits of telly work, and I had somebody come in and double me one day, and they looked nothing like me at all. I was still only 20, I think. And I looked into the stunt register, and there really weren't any young guys on. And I already had about half the qualifications that I needed to get on. Yeah. So I finished them within a short period of time, got on, and then work came in, and I just loved it.
Really?
I thought we're doing all these naughty things that you're not allowed to do. Yeah. Driving cars way too fast on the road, and the roads are closed off for you, and the police are there and go, yep, that's fine. You're going, wicked.
Amazing.
Doing all sorts of mad things. Yeah. And loved it.
Yeah.
and then quite quickly moved up the ranks to become a stunt coordinator. And there was a girl called Sue, and I don't remember her last name, and she rang me to come in and do work on episode 3 of Space Precinct. Well, I just had to come in through a door and slip on a banana skin, I think, or something, and fall over.
Sounds
Then
about
asked if I'd come back again, and then the Cyborg episode came up.
Yeah.
And they asked me if I'd do that. And then when that finished, remember Gerry came on the set on John Glenn's next episode, and everything stopped on set because there's Gerry Anderson's complete legend. And in front of the whole crew and cast, he said, "John, how do you feel about Glenn staying for a whole year?" And I was just looking really embarrassed to go, is this really a conversation to be having in front of 80, 100 people?
Yes.
Well, it's great. Why don't you stay and watch? He's directing this fight scene. No. Are you happy to carry on working with him? And John went, absolutely. Go and see Tom and Gerry. Now, Tom and Gerry was not either, it was the line producer and the production manager who called Gerry and Tom. So we all called them Tom and Gerry, which always made everybody smile that we had Tom and Gerry run this show. Yeah. I went to see them, and they said, Gerry said you'd like to be here for a year. And so I stayed for a year.
Amazing.
Like some girl called Sue, who I'd worked with one day on the bill, who ran me to come in and do. It's just luck of
it really is,
right place at the right time.
But also right skills at the right time. You know, they obviously saw something that they needed. I mean, that's the cold, hard logic of a TV production, isn't it? They saw something in you that they needed that would be useful, and you were there.
Yeah, and I loved it. And it was a real, how can I put this? It was a great one to do, being the Cyborg, because it tested every single thing you knew about doing stunts, and you just had to be so patient and keep the stamina going. At times into the second week, I was exhausted.
I bet.
I mean, absolutely. I thought, how am I going to drive home tonight?
Yeah.
Go and have another shower. Everybody had gone.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was 8:30, 9 before I could literally crawl in the car, get back, and then you've got to be back in for 6:45 in the morning again, because it takes so long to get into the outfit and everything, and you're going through it all again.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
God, extraordinary. Now, in our brief text exchange, I asked you about your first Anderson memory, and you very kindly supplied me with one. So let's have a look at this, and then we'll have a chat about it afterwards.
Cool. Brilliant.
Had to be.
Had to be. Brilliant. We could sit and watch them for ages. I mean, they're timeless. I remember them, and for my birthday, when being little, I remember my folks asked me what I wanted, and I was desperate to have the Thunderbirds models. I had the die-cast ones, and Thunderbirds 2, the green one, was my favourite. And the centre came out, and it had all these other bits of whichever ones they were, the other little models that came out. And I'd play with these for hours. So rather than watch TV, I was always fascinated by all these die-cast cars and Thunderbirds I had. And when I came back, I was at boarding school, so I must have been about 10 or 11. I came back one holiday, and I couldn't find any of them. And I said to her, where are all my Thunderbirds? That was first, and then all my cars gone. And she went, oh, I thought you'd grown out of them. I gave them all away. They've all gone to charity a few weeks ago. And the only ones I've still got are my Batmobiles. I've got a few of them, Chichity Bang Bang. I've still got my pink Rolls Royce. I had a little one and a big one.
Yeah.
And the James Bond cars, I got a Lead Odd Job.
Oh, yeah.
And I've given those to my kids now. But because I used to play with those, I kept them in my school bag, and I had them at school. But I lost all my Thunderbirds toys.
Crazy. Wow. So Thunderbirds obviously made an impact.
Loved it.
So when you got the call for Space Precinct, when you first heard about it, or the name Gerry Anderson obviously meant something to you.
Yeah, it was massive.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I remember the first time I met him wasn't when I went in to do the first episode. He was very much in his office, and was on the set and went in like actors do.
Yeah.
Go and do your bit, stuntmen. And it was only then when it came to doing the preparations for the Cyborg that I met him the first time. And he was really tall. I remember that.
Yeah.
But what he and his wife Mary created there was something different, because they really made it a family feel. You wanted to go into work every day. And to be on it full time was just brilliant. And Gerry said to me after the Cyborg episode, he said, look, if you get any ideas, my door is always open. Just knock on the door, come in.
Yeah.
The door's shut, I'm in a meeting, I can't. But if the door, and most of the time the door was open.
Yeah.
And I did once. I remember I took a friend of mine in who's now health and safety, and his name's Jake. And I thought, I bet you this will stir something in. Gerry was what, 6'3", 6'4"?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, he was a tall man.
Tall. Yeah, Jake was 7 foot without his shoes on. And if you saw him at distance, you thought, okay, there's just a guy. But he's completely, but a big guy. He used to play American football.
Oh, yeah.
And he walked in the door, and I think his sort of shoulder height at the door to get in. Gerry just stood there looking at him, went, right, I don't know what we're going to put you in, but Glenn, you're absolutely right. You're in some episode somewhere. And in the police station, I remember the first time we just brought him in, you couldn't even see his face, because where the camera was, all you could see was the guy's waist and up to his chest, and he walked past this.
That character from, is it Police Squad? Do you know Police? I know you know it, but you never see his, because he's too tall. Yeah. Did he end up playing a part in the series then, do you remember? Or?
No, because it was towards the end of the first series. Yeah. And then I spoke to Gerry about it, and he said, we're going to go again. We're going to give you all 6 weeks off, and then we'll ask everybody back. That's how much of a family feel, because they wanted everybody back. And that was really nice. And I think a huge compliment to Gerry and Mary as well.
Yeah.
And I think just about everybody wanted to do it again. For whatever reason, it didn't go again.
Yeah.
But I spoke to Gerry, and he said, no, he had some ideas for series 2.
Right.
And I think he wanted to pair him up with Kieran, who was...
Kieran Sharp.
Aha.
The world's smallest stuntman.
Well, stuntman, people don't know. I don't even think he's 4 foot tall, is he?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
He's about that or something. So to have him and somebody who's 7 foot, and the big boots they put us on, so you probably get somebody who's 7'5" or something.
Yes.
So he obviously had some idea of a storyline in place.
Brilliant. Amazing. Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that family feel. I remember talking with Rob Thurtle, who played every episode. He was another creature, essentially, as was Andy Dawson and Wayne Forrester, names that you might remember, and Will Barton, Alexa Rosewood, Lee Tinkler, Joe Burns, anyway. And I remember Rob saying, this feels like a repertory company. And it was, because you saw the same faces almost every week. You had a guest cast, of course, the likes of Stephen Burkhoff.
Do you remember when Stephen came in?
Yeah. And it was a great family repertory company sort of feel, which I think is quite unusual.
That was the longest death ever in the history of film with Stephen Burkhoff. So he got, I don't think it's giving the story away, but he gets shot, and we went through how he's going to be shot, and then he falls back and he's on the floor and he dies. So John Glenn's looking at me and went, are you ready? I went, yeah, he's got some pads on, we've rehearsed it, it's great. So Stephen takes the bullet hit, and he spent the next 2 minutes dying. And John just looks at me going, what? I went, it's not what I rehearsed. I said, just keep the cameras rolling, let him just finish, because then you can have the beginning. If you want to use another bit, you'll have to cut away something else, and hopefully he'll die at some point.
Brilliant.
2 minutes of dying. Yeah. Fantastic.
I can quite believe that. Yeah, that's right. So we spoke a while ago earlier about the difference between a stuntman and a stunt coordinator, and where the difference lies there. Are you in charge of the choreography of stunt work as well? Is it up to you then to work out what the stunt's going to be in conjunction with the director and so on?
A lot of it's written in the script. Sometimes what they put in the script you can't do, so you can never say no to them, but you need to give them alternatives. Yeah. Bearing in mind the consequences to everything that you say and the ideas you come up with. Then you need to choreograph it. What we do a lot today, we pre-visit. So I will get a group of stunt guys, we will go and film it, and then we bring them a finished version. So they know exactly what they're going to get on the screen. I'm a very open book when I work. I like everybody to know what's going on. There it is, either storyboard or it's pre-vised. Everybody knows what's happening. And then the shoot's more relaxed and more fun, because everyone can then on the crew give you your best, and they do. Yeah. And you just, sometimes it's just a little bit of something extra comes into a scene. Yeah. So sometimes I have these mad ideas. Yeah. and they tend to work. And then I get this little sort of fan club thing. I don't quite know where it's come from, but I get quite a lot of emails and phone calls and however people get in touch today from university students doing their degrees or PhD or something, and say, right, how did you do this stuff?
Right.
And I won't always tell them right from the beginning. I'll say, first of all, watch it with the sound off.
Okay.
And then come back to me, and because I can't just spoon feed them,
Yes.
plus I'm busy, but I want them to try and use their own brains. If they're, and forgive me calling them kids, but if they're 19, 20, I've got kids that age, to me they're still kids.
Yeah.
I want them to use their brain to think, how did I put that together? And I had one girl from America who, when I did Theory of Everything, wanted to know how I got Eddie Redmayne to fall as Stephen Hawking and hit his head on the stone slabs.
Right.
So I'm not going to give you all the answers. But I would say go away and watch it without the sound on.
How interesting.
And then I said to her, she came back and said, no, I still can't work out. I said, right, go and play it in slow-mo. So you can get the clips up on YouTube. Right? And then come back to me. And she still couldn't get there in the end. And she did her last thesis.
Yeah.
And she used this. And she said, I can't believe how much work you had to put in to get someone to fall. And I said to her, well, when we went on the recce up in Cambridge, James Marsh, the director, said to me, and then Stephen Hawking falls over and all the crew, and they all walked off.
Yes.
I went,
Hang on.
no, come back. I went, no, he doesn't just fall, does he?
Yeah.
And they all looked at me, what? I said, no, this is a pinnacle moment in his life, because he goes from able body to disabled body in the flick of a switch. When you get motor neuron disease, one day it'll just kick in and suddenly your nervous system goes and you can't control your physicality at all. I said, so when he falls, he's just got a face plant. I said, let's give him something to make it a bit more dramatic. Can he be holding something so some papers go in the air? Can he be wearing his glasses? They said, yeah, but his head can't hit these stone slabs. I said, yeah, they can. I'll teach him how to do it. Then we had the problem on the day that they hadn't closed off all of this college in Cambridge. So we had loads of people. And Eddie was concerned that there could be paparazzi or somebody filming. So the two of us just disappeared. I'm sure they were all looking for us. Yeah. Because when I rehearse the actors, if I don't get rehearsal day, I just like to have it so it's them and I. So they can, I won't say make their mistakes, but I don't want them to feel under pressure with the crew and everybody and passers-by and members of the public watching them. I want them to be able to just relax and do it when no one can see them. Then we go on set and give them a finished product. I don't want them to see how we got there. Yeah. And that's what we did. And then we did the fall and he face planted his head into the stone slabs and it worked.
Amazing. Incredible. And that lady was right. So much work into one moment, which you only see once. I mean, in the age of streaming and Blu-ray, you can watch it again and again. But actually, effectively, in the cinema, you see it once and then you move on. So it is much of your work.
But I'll give you a bit more so that otherwise people are left wanting. So
go on.
You obviously can't smack your head into stone slabs, and these are old stone, and it's hard stone up at Cambridge. So before we got on the recce, I was chatting with CGI, so they do all the computer animation. And I said, are you charging for each job on this? Or he said, no, we have a blanket fee and we can do so much. I said, right. Personally, I said, but it's not for me to tell you a job. I don't think it'd be that expensive. If I've got the camera locked off and I put what I want down as the stone slabs, can you raise the grass and everything else so that it's all still on the same plane? They said, yeah, that's a simple program for us to run. What is it you want to put down? A crash mat? I said, no. I've asked the art department, they're going to mould all of these stone slabs and make them out of the foam that I like the density to. So it can't be too soft and it can't be too hard. Yeah. So I said, I want a good 8-10 metres of these stone slabs that'll be cast. Then it goes to another person in the art department, this girl who was brilliant, and she painted them so they look just like the others. Yeah. So the original stones that were underneath were then cast in a soft foam, put on top and painted, and then Eddie could do. So I said, but I got him to do it from the warp, but I said he doesn't need to. Let's get him So I had him come past camera. They had this brilliant American movement coach who taught all of us, me, Eddie, how to walk his way, Stephen Hawking's way, where you dragged a leg and positions your shoulders are in. I said, right, that's still really hard to face plant from standing up. So let's get Eddie to come past camera and fall onto a couple of crash mats. Right, Eddie, go into a press-up position on the floor. Give me a camera really low down. And they just went with it. And I had CGI people there, I had all the producers, because I was spending a lot of their money and time on this. And I could see that they didn't get it.
Right.
For whatever reason, some of them didn't get it. But I knew where I was going with this. So I had him in a press-up position on the floor. I said, right, we need to overcrank on this. Let's do it at 100 frames. So you get 4 times the amount of film back through the camera, so it happens in slow-mo. Yeah. So I got him then to do a press-up, push really hard right above the frame, and then came down because I didn't want him just to fall into it. It's too hard. But if you're doing a press-up, so I said, right, now turn your head to the left. Let's stick the glasses towards the end of your nose, but I don't want you to hurt yourself on the side. So let's move them slightly to the right because the camera will never, the audience won't pick that up. And we did it, and bang, he smacked his head on this thing and went down. And I remember when I went to the cast and crew or so on, so I thought, Eddie Redmayne, you did a really good job with that.
Amazing.
It just looks like you've face planted that stone.
Incredible.
So you can take a little moment, make it instant, but look at the cost and the time. It was half a day to film that sequence, which is a huge amount of time for a feature film to put into it. But they let me, and I'm pleased they did. And I'm pleased with the result.
And do you find actors are mostly receptive?
Yeah, they know we're there to make them look good. We don't take any of that credit. We don't do many interviews.
Exactly.
And they're great fun to work with. And I find the more talented they are and the bigger stars they are, the more they demand from you and the easier our job becomes. You'll get some of them who'll walk on set, and I'm sure he won't mind if I say the names, but I'd love doing Foyle's War. And when I first met Michael, he said to me, who plays Foyle, he said to me, you and I will get on very well as long as you never ask me to do anything. I said, well, how about for all the episodes and all the series of Foyle's War, I'll never ask you to do anything. He said, you and I are going to get on famously. So if there ever was a stunt, it come to a point, if you don't want to do the stunt, you don't. That's what stuntmen are there for, to take the pain and not have to be in front of an explosion and all the rest of it.
Exactly.
So...
Great. Now, just before we say goodbye for this week, I think we should see you in action from Time to Kill. So let's have a look at the infamous warehouse scene.
For ages. Let's have a look.
From Space Precinct.
One of the hardest stunts I've ever done.
Hurry it up, people, move it.
Oh, hey, hold on.
Whoa. It felt like an earthquake.
Brilliant, Hal. Then I'm surprised you haven't made detective already.
Well, I do know how to make the earth move.
You wish.
Okay, party's over. What the hell is that?
I don't know. We weren't introduced.
Cover me, Brogan. What is it shooting? Some kind of charged particle beam. That smoke can't be. Tell him that. Move. I'll cover you. Talk.
Get out, kid! Get out!
Going through that window was so difficult.
Really?
I still remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah?
There was a gap between the end of the runway and the window, and I couldn't see the gap because of the mask.
Yeah.
So it's like doing a long jump, but if you go over the board, you don't just get a foul, you're going down the hole. Then the way the set was constructed, they couldn't make the window any taller, which is what I wanted, because I had a metal beam going across it. So when I went through, if you play it slowly, you'll see I'm ducking my head. So I had to do it all blind. I had to pace out, and I paced it quite a few times, the run, and I knew I couldn't overextend because I'd be down the hole. And once I pushed off with my left leg, I knew that I had to then just cramp my body up. The other problem was I had about 3.5 foot the other side before the wall. So I put a load of boxes in there to land in, but there really wasn't enough landing area to go in.
Crikey.
And you just had to do it all blind.
I mean, do you remember, was that one take, or did you have to do
One
it?
take,
Yeah,
that was it. No, we got it, and I said to Alan, who was directing, I went, I got it.
Yeah.
I know I can't improve it.
Yeah.
Forgive me, but I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
Because I've only got to overextend another few inches. I said, and I'm down the hole, and there's nowhere to go then. You're just in serious trouble. He went, no, look, I've got the shot I want. It's fine. We'll move on.
And were you fully kitted in
The
in
whole
the
shebang,
Cyborg, or did you have sort of stunt head mask, or was it the full-on thing as you went through that window?
No, it's a full-on thing. They made a stunt head, which I've still got. I was given as a present.
Oh, yeah,
There were
okay.
3 of them. And I love having it.
Yeah.
It's great. It sits on a shelf and it's there and it's sort of memories. And I think the other reason was because it was so difficult. But the stunt head, it was supposed to be lighter, but quite frankly, it didn't make any difference. It was moulded to fit my head. And I was so used to wearing the head that I was wearing every day.
Yes.
You become familiar with it.
Yeah.
It really didn't make any difference. Supposedly there was the hardest bit of all was the gun on the left hand. It was so heavy, and we had a stunt guy come in, and there's a shot of the gun firing round. And I said to him, right, you're right-handed. I said, right, my left arm's gone. And this was about day 3 or 4 into it. I said, can you do the gun? So he was lifting up. Then he couldn't lift his right, and he was like muscular, like He-Man thing. So then he had a stand to rest it on. He went, I'm much bigger and heavier and stronger than you.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling my right hand. How are you doing this with your left hand? I went, well, I'm doing a lot of press-ups before, and I could do them anyway. I said, but just practice. I had 2 weeks of this thing, and I knew I just had to go and because rehearse lifting it up, swinging it around a couple of hours a day, because otherwise I wouldn't have the strength to get through all the time. You can't say, oh, can you stop filming because my left hand's a bit tired, please?
That's right. Yeah, true enough.
And having to whack people or yourself with them, I had to know I could get there and not actually make contact.
Yeah.
And the soft foam one they made, to be honest with you, I think one of the days I had to hit Simone in the face in a scene. I went into a cell and she said, is that the soft one? I said, be honest with you, I've got more control over the real one. I said, I'm only going to go to 45 degrees or where I was going to 90 degrees with it. I said, but I can't see you. You're coming to me from behind. I need to be able to trust you that you're not going to overstep. We put a load of sausages, sort of sandbaggy bean bags down. I said, when your foot is that, none of your body can come past it, because I'm going to fly at you with this really heavy gun, and then you take your reaction off it. I'll never go past that, but I've got to know that you're not coming into my area. And she did it brilliantly. One take, bang, down she went, and did a great reaction to it. And fortunately, I didn't hit her in the face.
Fortunately not. No, that's right. There was an episode of Space Precinct, I think it was called Illegal, where there was a bit of abseiling to be done from a short scaffolding tower as Orin and Romek broke into a warehouse and slid down some ropes. And I was asked if I was happy to do the stunt. And I said, yeah, I think I'm happy to do the stunt. Until I got to the top of the tower. And I've got that clip for you now, because you stood in, and for a very brief moment, and I've slowed it down again at the end of the clip, so keep your eye out for that. You were Officer Orin.
I was Officer
Not for the first or last time, but let's have a look at this clip here.
Okay, let's do it.
1, 2,
And 3.
So, just on the right-hand side of the screen, I'll show you it again.
Okay, this whole area is hot. We'll leave it for forensics.
Here we go. On the right there. Because I chickened out.
There's no chickening out. When you're doing it in those heads and you're under pressure and it's hot and some things that seem simple if you've done them a lot can then become very difficult.
Yeah.
If you've done a lot of abseiling and you're used to doing cliffs and other things, coming in the studio and doing it in a head and all that costume, it's fine, you get through it.
Yeah.
It's like driving on a film set. And I won't mention names, but I have to tell you this one story because it'll put just abseiling into perspective.
Yeah.
Most of us out there have a driving license and you can drive. And at times things might happen on the road and usually your reflexes are pretty good to avoid cars or pedestrians, or hopefully you don't have to, or bad road conditions. When I was doing one particular show, the production manager on it was desperate for me to use his neighbour's son, who had just about finished his training to become a stuntman. He said it's really simple. If he drives the getaway car, all he's got to do is pull up slowly at the start, they do the raid, then when everybody's finished all their machine gunning and raiding, they get back in the car, they'll say go, he just reverses back, turns back 180 degrees, drives off down the road he came from. So we don't need any great speed, it's private land. I said, please don't. It won't go well. It's such a big scene. We're burning all these trucks. We only have so much burn time. I can only do this once. And sometimes just being there gets the better of people. I just want to have, we have the money, I just want to have an experienced stuntman who I know I can not a mate, no offence, but not a mate's kid.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be this guy. So he overruled me. Yeah, the insurance said it's fine. They said, no, I've written the risk assessment. Well, I went, all right, well, I'm writing my risk assessment and it's down to you guys, okay? If it doesn't go well, on your head, because we cannot repeat this. We cannot get in another 5 trucks and burn them, and it's a night shoot, and everyone's there till 4 or 5 in the morning, whatever. Anyway, come to do the raid at the end of the night. Car comes up the road, Mercedes stops, all the baddies pile out, and we had about 6 cameras, and we turned on the thing, and we got them to run in, then they start burning it, and then nicking whatever they're supposed to steal, and loading up another truck with all these guns, and in the end, all the other trucks disappear, and you're left with this one car, and perfect, the trucks are still burning, and they jump in the car, and you can hear the guys going, go, go, go. The car just sits there. And the director looks at me, and they say, go, go, go. You can see the driver just still looking out the front over the windscreen. So I had, because it was cold, I had my black coat on and black over trousers, and I just jogged down. I said, keep the cameras rolling. We don't have much burning time.
Yeah.
And I opened the driver's door. I said, come with me, young man. And there was nowhere to hide him.
Right.
So I couldn't put him to the trucks because they were on fire. It was too dangerous. So I just opened up the back door and I literally launched him on top of the stunt guys. I went to stay down and hide. And I got there. I said, right, put it in reverse. We squeal the car back. We turn around, we drive. When we got around the corner and we're out of shot, he went, oh, I'm so sorry. Everyone's shouting go, and I'm thinking, why are they all looking at me? And I was looking at all the trucks burning, and all the guys doing all, and everybody dying. Goes, it was brilliant. And now I'm thinking, oh, my job was to reverse the car and get us out of there, but it was so great what was going on. I forgot what I was supposed to do.
Yes, that's amazing.
So it doesn't matter, we've got it, but you know.
But I mean, that shows how sort of calm and collected you have to be as a stunt performer. With all this stuff going on around you, you can't afford to freeze or just stop and enjoy the spectacle.
Coordination. No, I plan it. I know what each of my chaps, actors, everything's going through. If something doesn't go right as a coordinator, you have to be brave. It's not a question of being brave. You just have to say, no, cut, do this, do that.
Yeah.
And fortunately, when I've needed to, I've done it, which isn't very often.
Yeah.
I had one the other day, and I had the stunt people play it all out, and they would always plan for the actors to do this scene. And the director just looked at me and he went, cut. I said, should we go again? He said, yes. I said, it was almost exciting. He said, that means it was a load of complete mad. And I won't say the word. I said, almost. Yeah. I said, guys, what happened? We all forgot. We watched your guys and they made it look really easy. It's not, is it? I said, right, let's rehearse it again. Just do what we rehearsed and it's fine. But no, as a coordinator, you have to look after your performers, your actors.
Yeah.
And you have to set things up so that you're not taking too many risks.
Yeah.
Because longevity over career, the odds are against you. Something is going to go wrong at some point.
Right.
And I've had it in car chases, one of the stunt guys, the brakes went on a car. I mean, what are the chances of that? Unfortunately, he was that experienced. Rather than smashing into everything, he turned right and went through a fence into a farmer's field and stopped when you could get the handbrake on and whatever. Otherwise, it would have been a disaster.
Wow.
So everyone thinks like that they can drive. Everyone thinks, oh, abseiling, I've done a course, it's easy. When you're on a film set and they say action, it's a whole nother story.
Yes.
And that was just a little snippet of a guy driving a car.
Yes.
Where it just didn't happen.
Yes.
And I still look back and like, he's a big coordinator now. I wouldn't mention his name.
Right.
But I thought, right, that was your first ever job. And boy, did you muck it up because you didn't do it.
Maybe an important lesson to learn early in your career, I think.
Yeah.
That's right. Interesting. But not only did you play, I think there's also another episode where you were in Orin's Soft. We used to have sort of stunt masks for those moments where you had to be pulled into kind of a big skip, if you remember, by a big kind of ape creature. Officer Orin was investigating, Predator and Prey.
I'll have to watch it again to remember.
Yeah.
I did so many stunts on that series.
You
That
did.
one I don't remember.
And you were reminding me earlier as well that you also played Officer Castle, Simone Bendix, in a scene.
We shot this when 1995. We only had a few stunt women on the stunt register. So there's nothing to take away from them. It was just I'd set this stunt up and planned it. It was one of my meetings with our lovely art director. I went in and he said that, and I don't remember who directed that episode, but
I think this was
it wasn't
Power.
John.
So was it? Is that Sydney
I'll
Hayes?
put you on
or-
the spot.
Yeah.
Could have been one of Sydney's, but he said the director wants a shot from above, and you have to listen to what directors want and give them what they want.
Yeah.
He wants to see the back of Simone jumping out. I think it was out of a helicopter or a spaceship.
I think it was out of the police cruiser. That's
Police
right.
cruiser,
Yeah.
that's right. And going through the glass skylight
Yeah.
and then landing on the floor. So by the time if you look up at your ceiling at home and imagine that the ceiling is bigger, then you've got a skylight, so you can add another 4 foot. Then you've got to add at least another 6 foot above it. Now, you can't jump 18 feet
Yeah.
onto ground
Yeah.
because you just break your ankles.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to put a stunt performer in a position where they can do that. You can't even put crash mats down because from 20 feet, you're still going to break your ankles.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him, I said, could we build the set 12 foot off the ground? And he went, what? Tell me why. Before I talk about the cost and anything else, why. I said, well, if you can make me a false floor, say 8 by 8 foot or 10 by 10, we'll then put a piece of polystyrene, huge sheets of polystyrene. If you can get somebody nice in the art department to paint the big squares black on it, and white maybe, you need that. So you've got the big black and white squares across the floor. When you're looking from above, you won't know that we're 12 foot off the ground, and I can put boxes and crash mats underneath. So the shot will go from Simone looking around, then cut to stunt person, jumping out. You could do it all the way, but literally a frame or two before you hit the floor, you cut, and then you'll cut inside, and then she can just do a jump and pretend she's landed, or jump off some boxes, camera boxes, and land on the ground. And he thought this was a great idea. I did it before once, but I didn't want to just because I don't know, I was quite young, whatever. I guess I wanted to put my money where my mouth was. I knew that the cost of making the balsa wood and fake glass skylight was huge, and I knew we only had one go at this.
Right.
And because I'd lived with it so long, I went, well, look, I'll chat with Simone, I'll chat with makeup. It's not like today, because we used to double girls all the time, because there just weren't that many girls around.
Yeah.
And because I'd set this stunt up, I knew that the position in the air, I just lived with it for so many weeks, I knew that I'd get it right. So when I've got a big stunt coming up, I'll rehearse, I'll do whatever, I'll live with it. And for me, when I turn up on the set, the job's already done. And I know from the crew watching, oh my God, that was brilliant, you did it, whatever. But for me, it's like, no, I did this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, interesting.
Because in my head, I'd played it over 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure it went right. So that's why I double. It's not particularly I like wearing women's clothing, and that it was the same costume as the guys were wearing. But I had in my head exactly how I wanted that stunt. And I think the cost of it, I think it was about 18,500 just for the scaffolders to come in and build it higher.
Right.
Then by the time they built Skylight, not all down to me because it was written, I think it was well over 30 or something thousand. Now back in 95, you could buy a nice flat for that, or a house.
Yes.
So you took huge, that's what I'm saying before, whatever you plan has consequences.
Yes.
And you can end up spending vast sums of money. So you have to be very careful what you plan for.
Yeah. Yeah, incredible. Now, we have lots of viewers and listeners who, when they heard that you were coming on the show, sent in their questions.
Let's see what exciting questions.
Exactly. Dive in there.
We take one at random. I
Take as many
promise.
as you can. Take a good handful, Glenn, and then we'll get through a few of them. That's it. Yeah, great.
Okay.
Get through as many of those as you fancy and see what they have to say.
Well, we'll do this one that's come out on top.
Yeah.
This is from John Reader. Hi, Glenn. Did you enjoy your time on Space Precinct? Would you have done another series if asked? Thanks. So, John, to answer that question, Gerry and Mary Anderson came on the set. I think it was on our last day of filming the first series. And they invited everybody. Said, you've all got 6 weeks off. In that 6 weeks, just contact us. If you're not going to come back, well, it'd be nice to hear if you do want to. But if you're definitely not coming back, because I'd love to have you all back. So at a drop of a hat, I would have done it again. And I think they were talking about come back for 2 years. And there wasn't even a question about it for me.
Yeah.
I mean, there I am on a show, just great cast, brilliant crew.
Yeah.
And it comes from the top down. When you're on shows, the atmosphere, and we've been there at times when it's just brilliant, like Space Precinct. Over 30, whatever it is, 7 years I've been doing this, there's some shows where you go, I'll quite happily leave tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
They're few and far between, but it does happen.
Yeah.
But on that one, everybody was brilliant. Everybody watched out for everybody, and it was lovely.
Yeah.
And so did I enjoy my time on it? I loved it. If it came back tomorrow, I would jump at doing it again.
Amazing. Well,
So
there's still
thank you
hope.
for that one, John.
It could still happen.
This is from Robert Monk. Hello, Glenn. What's been your most dangerous stunt to perform? Also, what was the most fun to do? I mean, there's a few things immediately come to mind as the most fun to do. On one film, I was all over Eastern Europe and I had to smash up 3 Lamborghini Murcielagos. They're 640 brake horsepower, about £250,000 each, yellow ones, on a film called Brothers Bloom, with Adrian Brody, Rachel Weisz, Mark Ruffalo, Robbie Coltrane. I loved working on that film. Ryan Johnson was the director, who's just done the last however many Star Wars and got more to do. Ryan was great. He used to listen to his iPod all the time and had a red nose on, and I'd bet him. I'd make bets with him that stunts would work and he'd bet they wouldn't, and I'd walk off. And the way that the betting worked, he went, but Glenn, you're losing all your money anyway, man. So I'd say, right, because you get all this funny money when you're in Transylvania.
Yeah.
Really, the money is
It's monopoly money, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'd say, right, I'm going to bet all this per diems because they give us money for an evening meal.
Yeah.
So you've got money from Czechoslovakia and money from Hungary, wherever we've been. And I said, I'm putting it all in the pot. This will go behind the bar, and all the crew and cast, you can drink my money, right? I don't drink alcohol. That's not my bag, but you guys can drink it. So if this stunt works... Right, he said, what's the downside for the crew? I said, right, all crew, you're putting money in the pot, so we'll make sure you know how much you've got. If the stunt doesn't work, I'll match all the crew's money. That goes behind the bar. But if I do the stunt, right, all the money that the crew put in and cast, that goes behind the bar, and it's only cost me my piece. Yeah, but you're losing your per diem. I said, I don't mind.
Okay, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'll buy you all a drink. There you go. It's fine. So we'd often have these bets. And you'd go, no, that's not. And then I'd do it, and you go, oh my God, we all lost our money again. But yeah, I never lost my money. Well, I never had to replace the crew's money.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, when you're given the £750,000 Lamborghinis to smash up. And I said to Ryan, I said, I told you at the beginning, Ryan, just give me one of these Lambos, let me take it to my car guys, right? He said, why? I said, the front spoiler is 26,500. The first one I had to take into a crane, right? For 50 grand, I can get you dozens of car parts, all made out of fiberglass, because the audience watching doesn't know it's not carbon fiber.
Absolutely.
But I'm not going to have to wait. We had 7 guys from Lamborghini Body Shop repairing the cars just after I'd smashed them up. So this is just what I don't understand about the film business. And I'm still a new boy after 37 years. So my guys would then cast the parts, would strip the car down, would do 6 or 8 bolts on each bit, and you just put it back in, and then I've got a car to drive again.
Yeah.
But these guys would take a day or two to fix the car.
Yeah.
So by one morning, I'd smashed all 3. I pranged all 3 of his. Now, I think I'd take one off a cliff. I'd take one through a stone wall and the other one into the crane. And I think I smashed another one up somewhere else I was supposed to. And it was about 10:30 in the morning. And I'd stuffed all 3 of them well and proper. And Ryan said, where you going, man? I went, well, I've killed all 3 of your Lambos, right? The first one, if we're lucky, the guys will have it ready by midnight. So I'm going to go back to our lovely 5-star hotel. I'm going to go swim in a sauna and whatever.
Yeah.
I'll come back just to satisfy at tea time, because the caterers do fantastic food on this. So I'll stuff my little gullet.
Yeah.
If by chance they've got one ready, I'll smash that up again, and hopefully they'll have it ready again the first morning. Well, of course, I turn up for tea. Hi, everyone. Where are my Lambos? I went, oh, no, they're still about. Told you.
Yeah.
Should have let me have them. I'd have had them all. You'd have got your shots, all been cheaper. Wouldn't have cost you a fortune. But that's what I don't get about. Why would you then go and spend £750,000 when for 50 grand the thing would have worked more efficiently?
Yeah.
And I think at the end they understood. They're like, oh no, we can't spend 50,000. Yeah, but you've spent 750,000 and you haven't got the cars back on set.
Crazy.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
And apparently it was because that came out of this budget, and then the 50 would have had to come out of a different budget. I'm like, yeah, but the money's overall. You'd have saved 700 grand doing it, my way.
But I think very often it's money that has to be spent, doesn't it, somehow? They have a budget and somehow they have to spend
because it was different departments, they couldn't swap it. I was like, I don't know. Somebody can write in and tell us why you'd spend an extra 700,000 to achieve the same thing. It's just my brain. I like to work efficiently, and for me that wasn't working efficiently.
No, quite
but
right.
I love smashing up Lamborghinis. That was brilliant. Right. Jerry Morris, he says, Glenn, has stunt work changed over the years? I'm thinking in terms of safety and what directors expect from you. Good question. The directors don't, unless they've been writing it. The writers and producers expect a lot, and we have to deliver whatever they write. So we have to cover a broad spectrum. In terms of safety, it's down to us. But when I started, there was no such thing as health and safety. No health and safety officers. There were no risk assessments. There was nothing like it is today. Now there's so many levels to go through, more than there used to be. So the answer to is yes, it's changed. TV has changed enormously. The amount of car chases we used to do through the middle of London were just TV, and now it's just too expensive. They don't want us driving cars fast through London. They don't want to shut the roads down. There used to be so many derelict squares where the unit base. We take around with us this big merry circus. Sometimes you'll see crews filming on the street and a camera. That is 1% of what's going on. You've got people working from the facilities guy who have to be set up from 5 in the morning and might finish at midnight. You've got the guys and girls in the production offices who are working so many hours, and I doubt very much they're all on overtime. They do it because they're dedicated to the job, and they're the ones, and the ADs who look after us. You've got this huge team behind us, and that's nothing to do with the people involved in post-production and the music, which is enormous as well. So we carry this, I call it the merry circus, this huge team, and you have to bring the costume trucks and the wardrobe trucks and the production offices and all the facilities with you to be able to service what it is we're filming. So you might only see a little bit, but behind it, the amount of people and money is spent, I'm always in awe of it. And on one big show at Pinewood, and it was a massive thing, the producer got us all together in the morning and said, I'm bringing in a friend of mine, and he's working for free, and works for one of the biggest consultancy firms. And he's just going to go around and ask you, he signed an NDA, but he's going to ask you what you all do, and he'll be with you for a bit. And if you could just accommodate him, I'd appreciate it. At the end of the day, I think we were there for 2 days. End of the second day, all the crew together, and this chap, forgive me, I don't remember his name. He got up, and he said, right, my job was to come in and see how all the different departments work. And could I, as I do when I go into factories, make this more efficient? He said, apart from the armed forces, because I don't think I've found anything that works so efficiently.
Right.
He said, I would not change a single thing. He said, the hours that you guys put in and the talent across all the different departments, and I understand now why they can't cross, why you can't have makeup doing the costume job, costume doing the makeup job, why the sound guy can't do the focus pulling and keep going. He said, it is streamlined, it's efficient, don't change a thing. It
amazing.
Works so well.
Because these are processes that have been in place for decades now.
Decades. My attitude is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Swim with the tide, because it's not just what you want. You've got to take this whole merry circus with you on this journey. And you've got to get from the beginning to the end. The only difference is in my job, I can't be hurting people. Otherwise, you're out the door.
That's right. Another question.
Another one. Rebecca Barden, what do your family think of your job as a stuntman? Would you be happy if your own children wanted to follow in your footsteps? My family at the beginning thought I was all mad.
Right.
My mum used to ring up and say, "Are you working for the BBC?" And even if I wasn't, I said, "Yes, Mum, why?" She goes, "Oh, well, that's all right. If it's the BBC, it must be safe because it's the BBC, because she's of that generation."
Yeah.
They've got used to it. I think, obviously, as a family, they're happier that I'm mainly coordinating now, not doing stunts, but they still think it's mad. My own kids, I've said to them, I want you to get out of bed in the morning and do a job that you love. So don't do what I do what you want to do. I think it's changed a lot. I'm blessed. I've got twin boys that are 10. I'll have retired by the time they've finished uni. So it's not, do I want them to go in the business? I won't be around to help them. And I hope that they'll find a vocation, and I won't call it a job, but a vocation that really excites them and something they want to do.
Yeah.
I'd never push any. Look, I do something completely off the Richter scale of weirdness, I guess. Stuntman, stunts, and that is not something that you think of at school and want to go and do. You can go and do it if you know nobody in the business, like I did, and you can make a career. And I've had a fantastic career, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But no, I'd never impose what I do on anybody, let alone my own kids. Yeah. And anyway, at the moment, Rafi wants to be a cowboy, and Sebastian, I think he wants to be a train driver.
But the great thing about your job is that you get to be all those things and more, don't you? That's what I feel as an actor.
Yeah, so I'm sure in England there's a big call for cowboys, so if he still wants to be a cowboy in a couple of years' time, great. If it changes, and if Sebastian still wants to be a train driver, I'll go with that.
Absolutely.
That's great. Should we find another one?
Yes, let's have a couple more. That's fantastic.
Richard Godborn. Hi, Glenn. What was the best film or TV show you worked with for stunts on? I think I kind of answered that really in the shows we've done.
Yeah.
But there are other shows that you guys have heard of that I'm going to take it from a different tack rather than say that had its challenges. So you got films or TV shows like Baby Reindeer I did that was out recently.
Yeah.
And you've got things like Theory of Everything, which you can put an impression on.
Yeah.
And then you've got Star Wars movies, but we're not allowed to say we ever worked on them. But when I took Benjamin to say, he said, "But I saw your face, Dad." I went, "Yeah, hypothetically." There's other show I'm doing at the moment, which I'm not allowed to tell you the name of, which is really weird, but we've signed NDAs.
Yeah.
And we're not, because they're so frightened, we'll give the story away. We won't do that.
Yeah.
I don't mind if the budget's $100 million or if they've only got £1 million. Is it fun? Is it going to be fun to work on? Are the people nice? Can I do the stunts they want for a start? Because sometimes they write things that are just not possible for the time and the money they've got. So can I design something that will work for them? And if I can do all of that, then I'm going to enjoy the show. So it's very rare you're on a show for a year like we were with Space Precinct. Having said that, when I finished it, Clive Reed, who was one of the first, who's sadly no longer with us, went on to production manage Soldier.
Yes.
And I went on to Soldier for 10 months.
Yeah.
And I have to say, looking back on the memories, and I'll have to explain why it was so much fun. I turn up on set the first day. We've got 6 Challenger tanks. We've got another 32 armoured personnel and other track vehicles, 432s. And we've got virtually a battalion of Gurkhas and others, and they're going, "All right, Glenn, what we want is this." I'm like, "Oh man,
wow.
I'm playing tanks here."
Yeah.
So whatever else you throw at me, I don't think it'd be that much fun, because I can't see today the restrictions, everything else you've got with health and safety and this and that. When are you going to let rip in a Challenger tank for 40 minutes with an officer screaming at you to go quicker?
Brilliant stories. Wonderful memories. Has it been fun? Does it bring it all back? Does it feel like yesterday, like it does for me at Pinewood L&M stage back in 1994,
watching the clips brought back a lot.
Yeah.
I don't... When I've done a stunt, I park it to the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And then if I need to call that up to help me plan another stunt or something, they're there.
Yeah.
But as I said, I don't watch much TV just because life and kids and work and the travelling. But it's so nice to come back and see it, and it brings back so many memories that we've got. And I don't often talk about stunts. If I'm out and I meet people new, I never say I'm a stuntman.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I just,
Well,
no.
in that case, we've been privileged today. It's been great to hear your stories. And thanks for joining us, Glenn Marks. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.